What's up everybody? I hope you're doing well. If you've been following along with my adventures, then you know back in early April of this year, I moved from San Jose, California to San Diego, California, and at the beginning of May, I started marketing my practice here in earnest. Now, while I've been meeting any existing clients from my San Jose practice who still want to meet with me virtually, I've otherwise effectively started my practice completely from scratch. And so now that it's been about 3 months of marketing my practice in San Diego, it's a really good time to pause and evaluate what's working about my marketing strategy, what's really not working, and what could use some tweaking to help improve it. And I thought it might be a good idea to bring you along for that journey so you can kind of glean from my process as well. And if we haven't met before, welcome to Private Practice Skills. I'm Dr. Marie Fang. I'm a psychologist in private practice, and I post these videos sharing tools I learned the hard way about starting and growing private practice so you don't have to do it the hard way like I have. So as I mentioned, I effectively started my practice completely from scratch when I moved, because not only did I move to a new place, so I lost all my existing referral networks, I also changed my practice name and bought a completely new domain name. So I also couldn't rely on the SEO strategies, which had been my primary way of getting clients for my practice before moving. Back in May, I posted a video to this channel sharing my kind of low-key marketing strategy for how I was going to try to fill my practice now that I've moved. So I thought it might be a good idea to watch that video back together with you and see how each of those strategies are working out for me now. So let's hop back into that video together and see what I at least said I was going to do to market my practice back then. The first item I'll name on this list is changing my name. Now, changing my name doesn't necessarily bring in new clients to my practice, but it is part of my overall brand and therefore part of my marketing strategy. Okay, so far this seems to be a win for my practice. Changing my name has clarified what I'm really about. My name change was from Life Christian Counseling to now Affirming Christian Counseling, and it just is a little more clear of what I'm about, particularly in my emphasis on working with folks who identify as LGBTQ+ and Christian or coming from some sort of Christian background. Okay, let's skip ahead to the next marketing strategy. The easiest low-hanging marketing strategy that honestly most of us go to is setting up my Psychology Today profile. I didn't change anything about my Psychology Today profile except obviously my practice name and my location, and I will tell you Psychology Today has not been working for me the way that it used to in San Jose. So I'm gonna go ahead and email Psychology Today and ask them to take down my profile only because some of my other marketing strategies are working for me, and I don't really want to bother at this moment in time trying to fix my Psychology Today to see if I can get better referrals or more referrals from it. Let's see what other marketing strategies I said I was going to implement. My next marketing strategy was to update my website for local SEO. So anything on my website that was talking about San Jose, my former city, I switched it to start talking about San Diego so that hopefully my website can start showing up in local search results in San Diego. I did go ahead and make that change, and I do have more referrals overall coming from San Diego, but I've also noticed that many folks who are reaching out to me are from all across the nation. And right now I'm only licensed to work with folks who are living in California. So that tells me I have some things that I need to work on related to my local SEO. I'll get into that in a little bit. The next marketing strategy was to set up my Google My Business profile. Super easy to do. I cannot emphasize it enough. Okay, I've said this so many times and I'm gonna say it again. Google My Business is free. It's now called Google Business Profile, but it's the same thing. Just in the last 2 months or so since I started Google My Business, I've seen a lot more folks finding my Google My Business profile, or I should say my Google Business Profile, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And it has been starting to send a light trickle of traffic to my website. It's not enough traffic to sort of send tons of referrals my way every month, but folks are finding me in Google searches, and that's really reassuring. And my next marketing strategy is blogging regularly, ideally about 1 time per week. Okay, true confessions. I am all about blogging, but also I've been in the middle of a move. I have 2 very small children, and so I fell off the wagon with my blogging. I look back and I think there was something like 8 total blog posts that I posted about weekly, and then I fell off the wagon somewhere around mid-June, and I haven't posted to my blog since then. That's something that I'd like to prioritize here going into August, because blogging has been working so well for my practice. I've built up my SEO primarily through these blog posts, and not only has it helped my website show up in search results for folks looking for a therapist like me, but it's been incredibly powerful in helping folks build trust with me. Even though blogging is an investment of time and energy, it is very valuable if you have it to give, and that is going to be one of the primary things I'm going to focus on going forward to help continue marketing my practice. My next marketing strategy is initiating casual meetups with like-minded therapists. So this isn't a salesy kind of marketing type of interaction. It is focused on building genuine relationships with real people that I actually like. Yes to networking with like-minded therapists. I've talked about this now a number of times on the channel. I really hit the ground running hard on this one back in May and into June a bit as I meet with folks, the ones that I really connect with as a friend, as a colleague, as a consult partner, whatever it might be. Those are the folks that I keep reinitiating with. So the circle of folks has gotten smaller, but I've become much more intentional. And so for many of the folks that I feel like I get along really well with, by now I've met with maybe 3 times each, and there's probably about 4 or 5 people in that category. I haven't yet seen that send referrals to my practice yet, but that has been so helpful for me in my professional development and feeling just supported as I start my practice here. There's another item that I want to add about networking with local therapists that ties back to what I mentioned before about my local SEO not quite being so strong yet, and that's that I'd really like to collaborate with these folks that I'm connecting so well with and trying to see if we can sort of cross-post to each other's website. The next element of my marketing strategy is making genuine connections with local community leaders who are overlapping with my niche. So for example, one of my niches is working with LGBTQ+ Christians, so it might make sense to make connections with church communities that are also LGBTQ affirming. I had used this strategy more in San Jose, and now that I've thought about it here after moving, I've actually deprioritized this on the list. I haven't reached out to any local leaders at this point because I've noticed that my favorite clients to work with are folks who have not yet come out to anybody. Those local leaders are not going to know that that person might be a good fit for my practice. In reality, what ends up happening more often is that somebody is part of a church that's maybe not affirming, and through a Google search, or maybe after coming out to one friend through word of mouth, they find my practice. And the last marketing strategy I'm using for now is leveraging HARO to build up my backlinks. All right, there was a point at the beginning in May when I was really trying to get those HARO backlinks. And then I kind of fell off the bandwagon on that one, to be honest. Okay, yeah, I just did a double check and I currently have no backlinks to my new website. So that tells me that either, the different quotes that I submitted didn't get utilized, or maybe some of them just haven't rolled out yet. Usually though, within a month or two, the piece ends up coming out. They're trying to push the content pretty quickly. So it looks like my kind of half-hearted effort towards HARO hasn't paid off. It was just maybe too many things that I was trying to do at one time. So maybe at some point I'll circle back to HARO. Despite that, it seems like I'm building my SEO pretty well, and I think it's going to be wise for me to focus a little bit more on the local SEO, backlinking with other fellow local therapists, for example, and a little bit less on the HARO SEO because I'm already getting website traffic nationwide. Ooh, that felt like a trip back down memory lane, even though I just filmed that video barely over 2 months ago. Just a lot has happened. Clearly, a lot of things about my marketing strategy, I just totally fell off the wagon. Some of it intentionally so, and some of it not so intentionally. I called it my low-key marketing strategy, but I think there was like 7 different things on that list, and maybe those 7 things will happen throughout the course of, say, a year rather than just a couple of months. But for now, I think I am really going to focus on that local SEO building. In particular, I'm going to focus on blogging weekly again, trying to collaborate and backlink with local therapists, and also keeping up with my Google business profile so that I can have a more robust local SEO juice thing. Oh, and I realized I never actually told you how my marketing strategy is working. Am I getting clients from my existing marketing strategies? And I will say I've had a very steady, fairly slow trickle of new folks coming in, which is kind of how I want it, but the folks who are reaching out to me are such an ideal fit for me. So something about my marketing strategy is working really well, getting the right folks to book with me who stick and come back for more sessions, stick around for a little while. Now, I'd like to be clear that this is just the marketing strategy that's working for me in my particular practice, in my particular location, and my unique set of circumstances. Please don't hear this as like the marketing strategy that every single person has to implement. And before we close, I'd like to thank TherapyNotes.com for sponsoring this video. TherapyNotes covers all of your practice management needs. I really love that they have a portal where you can send your paperwork to your clients for them to fill out securely online. If you're interested in checking out TherapyNotes, you can get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment just by clicking the link in the description of this video. Well, I hope you found this video helpful as I take you alongside me in my journey of like restarting my practice in San Diego. Let folks know in the comments what sorts of marketing strategies are working to fill your practice with your favorite kinds of people to work with these days. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well.